A blanket is a blessing. It's a way of showing love and caring.
Michael Jackson wasn't just a global icon, he was the king of pop, adored by billions. But behind the spotlight lived a quiet enigma, his youngest son. The untold mystery of Michael Jackson's quietest son begins with Bigi Jackson, once nicknamed Blanket, who spent his life trying to stay invisible, despite being born into one of the most famous families on earth. From being mocked for his nickname to getting caught in family court chaos, Bigi faced more than most kids ever will.
We did a lot of fun stuff. Well, sometimes we had pillow fights.
He didn't ask for fame, he inherited it. Back in 2002, when news broke that Michael had become a father for the third time, the world buzzed with one question: who's the mother? At that point, Jackson was already divorced from Debbie Rowe, mother of Prince and Paris. But this time, things weren't clear. Speculation exploded. And in 2003, Michael tried to set the record straight in the explosive documentary, Living with Michael Jackson. But did he tell the whole truth? Or was there still more he kept hidden? And why has Bigi stayed so silent for all these years? After Michael Jackson's shocking death in 2009, the Mirror dropped a bombshell, claiming that Bigi's birth mother was a Mexican nurse named Elena. According to the report, Jackson didn't just choose any surrogate. He handpicked her from a private list of candidates. Elena was allegedly paid $20,000 to carry his child and gave birth at Sharp Grossman Hospital in California. But the mystery deepened. Bigi's birth certificate made no mention of Elena's name. It was as if his mother had been erased from the story altogether. And who could forget the jaw-dropping moment in 2002 when Jackson dangled a baby over a hotel balcony? The entire world gasped in horror. That baby was Bigi. The bizarre stunt instantly became one of Jackson's most infamous public moments, cementing his image as an unpredictable and sometimes reckless superstar. The baby in that chilling moment was none other than 9-month-old Bigi Jackson, his tiny legs flailing helplessly as Michael held him over the balcony of a Berlin hotel with just one arm. To make matters even more shocking, Jackson used his other hand to press down a towel that completely covered Bigi's face. Viewers were horrified. Even the crowd gathered below screamed in disbelief. Though the stunt lasted only seconds, the damage was done. Outrage erupted around the world. Media headlines exploded, and critics didn't hold back. Many even demanded that Jackson be arrested for putting his infant son in such terrifying danger. But what was really going through Jackson's mind in that moment? Was it a careless mistake, or something far more revealing about the chaos surrounding Bigi's early life? Ironically, Jackson was in Germany to receive an award for his charity work with children, yet he left the world horrified with that one reckless act. In the aftermath,
I offer no excuses for what happened. I made a terrible mistake.
Child welfare agencies rushed to issue public warnings. Experts like Janice Spear urged the public, "I would tell anyone who saw an adult dangling a child out of a window to call a child protection hotline and the police." Jackson later admitted his mistake, saying, "I got caught up in the excitement of the moment. I would never intentionally endanger the lives of my children." But for many, the damage to his image was already done. At just 7 years old, Bigi's world was shattered when his father died from a drug overdose in 2009. People everywhere mourned the loss of a music legend.
He has had the most problems adjusting after Michael died. He acted very lost and extremely upset.
But for Bigi, it was more than headlines. He was too young to fully understand what had happened. Yet he was thrown into the storm anyway. From court battles to relentless media attention, he became part of the chaos left behind. Thankfully, Bigi wasn't alone. His older siblings, Prince and Paris, stepped in as his protectors. The three of them formed a tight bond, a small, unshakable unit that leaned on each other as the world watched every move. Of all the Jackson children, Bigi spent the least time with his father.
No matter what you do or no matter how confident you feel that you did something, no matter how well you did something, my father would always say, that's great, but what's next? How can we make it bigger? How can we make it better? What are you going to learn from this experience and apply to improve the next one?
But the emotional imprint Michael left on him was powerful. After the King of Pop's death, the spotlight turned harshly on his kids. Cameras followed their every move. Their private grief turned into public spectacle. Bigi, always the quietest of the three, stood by Prince and Paris through countless appearances. Watchful, silent, and far too exposed for a child his age. One heartbreaking image still lingers in the public's mind. A tearful Bigi clutching a Michael Jackson doll at his father's memorial. It was a moment no one could forget. Though he never saw his father perform live, Bigi honored his legacy in his own way. In 2013, he was seen enjoying Cirque du Soleil's Michael Jackson 1 in Las Vegas, joined by Prince, who had become one of Bigi's fiercest protectors. But behind the scenes, the trauma took its toll.
I think it's only made us stronger as siblings to have that bond, to have that very real relationship and raw relationship with each other that we know it's always love.
Sources say Bigi quietly disappeared into the background in the years that followed. A 2017 Page 6 report revealed a heartbreaking claim from someone close to the family. This poor kid, he fends for himself. There's no one to make sure he's even eating right. Though still in his early 20s, Bigi Jackson has already lived through multiple identities. At birth, he was named Prince Michael Jackson II, mirroring both his father and older brother. But that name never truly stuck. Instead, the world came to know him by a far stranger nickname, Blanket. That unusual name quickly took on a life of its own in global headlines. According to Michael, it came from a phrase he often used, telling people to blanket someone with love or care. But in the press, the nickname became something else entirely, a label that followed Bigi through childhood.
But I used to surrogate mother, and she doesn't know me, I don't know her.
Often inviting more ridicule than affection. And so, the pop icon's youngest was famously christened with the nickname Blanket. But behind closed doors, Bigi reportedly hated the attention it brought. According to Radar Online, he even blamed his father for saddling him with such a bizarre name. The nickname didn't just confuse people, it made him a target. An insider revealed, growing up, his schoolmates have always been slightly mean to him because of their jealousy over who he is, and going by Blanket made him a much easier target for ridicule. After Michael's death, Bigi made a quiet but powerful move. When he enrolled at the Buckley School, he dropped the nickname and started using the name Bigi, a fresh start for a boy trying to escape the shadow of unwanted fame. Today, that's the name the world knows him by. But the nickname Blanket still lingers in pop culture memory. In recent years, the few times Bigi has stepped out of the spotlight have been for one of two reasons: tributes to his father and his deep love for film. Film has become one of the few outlets where Bigi Jackson truly lets his voice be heard. In 2019, he stepped into the public eye with Film Family, a YouTube channel he launched alongside his brother Prince and their cousin. Their very first video, a review of Avengers: Endgame. The channel took off fast, posting over 100 videos in just a year and drawing in more than 50,000 subscribers. And Bigi, he quickly became a fan favorite. Though Film Family went quiet in 2020, Bigi didn't stop there. In 2024, he made a quiet but bold leap, directing a short suspense film titled Rochelle's, about two friends competing for a job at a restaurant. The project may have flown under the radar, but it didn't go unnoticed. It won Best Drama at the Santa Monica Film Festival. While Bigi stayed humble, his brother Prince proudly celebrated him with an Instagram shoutout.
He really thinks and studies about film in a different way that you would notice, and that comes with his upbringing with my dad encouraging him to study film.
Despite how private Bigi remains, one thing is clear: cinema is his true passion. According to Prince, the Jackson siblings were introduced to film from a young age by a teacher hired just for that purpose. And for Bigi, that early exposure lit a creative spark that never stopped burning. Prince once told ET Online that after Michael's death, he, Bigi, and Paris were placed under the care of their grandmother, Catherine Jackson. For years, the bond between them seemed unbreakable. Even Catherine's lawyer had praised her close relationship with the grandchildren. But that harmony didn't last. Now that the Jackson kids are adults, things have reportedly shifted, especially between Bigi and Catherine. In 2024, tensions exploded when Bigi took his own grandmother to court over a bitter feud tied to Michael Jackson's estate. At the center of the drama, a massive $600 million deal between Sony and the Jackson estate. Sony bought out half of Michael's music catalog, and while Bigi and his siblings initially resisted the move, they eventually accepted the court's 2023 ruling to let the deal go through. Catherine didn't. She appealed the decision and turned against the estate's co-executors, arguing they never should have approved the sale. She also requested the estate cover her legal fees, sparking even more tension. Bigi fought back, calling it unfair. He pointed out that paying Catherine's fees would drain money from the estate, even though the legal battle wasn't helping it. Catherine, on the other hand, claimed her request was minimal and wouldn't even make a dent in the fortune, which is now estimated at a staggering $2 billion. Through all the chaos, the court battles, the headlines, and the haunting shadow of his last name, Bigi Jackson never raised his voice. While the world obsessed over his father's legacy and his siblings found their place in the spotlight, Bigi chose silence. A silence that spoke louder than any interview ever could. He never chased fame, despite being born into it. He never sold his story, despite the world begging to hear it. And he never let the nickname Blanket define him. He erased it, reshaped it, and reclaimed his identity. Today, Bigi Jackson lives quietly in California, far from the flashing lights of Hollywood. He studies filmmaking, keeps a close circle of trusted people, and continues to honor his father in his own private way. Searches for Blanket Jackson today still flood Google, proof that public fascination with him has never faded, and some believe his silence isn't the end of the story, but the quiet before something even deeper is revealed. You won't find him chasing cameras, but if you look closely, you'll see the legacy he's building. In silence, in shadows, and on his own terms. The untold mystery of Michael Jackson's quietest son, it was never about what he said, it's about everything he refused to say.